We be live.
Howdy, y'all.
Wait, I've heard that before.
Well, I
No.
gave that as an example in the
Okay.
past where I said I could go through different ones, and I just figured since I gave it as an example, I should probably use it at least once. I
Okay.
am from the South, but I'll be
Okay.
honest, I don't often say howdy that much, but y'all, I probably say that like
Yeah.
every 2 to 3 minutes, probably.
Yeah, I do hear you say that sometimes.
It's actually a really good word. It means you all, as in like the collective of people.
Yeah.
Now, technically, you is already plural, but again, I just think it adds a little bit more nuance to it. So, y'all
Okay.
out there, make sure to keep voting, even though most of you haven't. But at the very least, just like the video. I mean, come on, it's
Yes.
so easy, so easy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus loves us. Thank you.
Jesus loves us. Well, Jesus, please like the video.
Yeah, yes. Become a patron, Jesus. We'll
If you
answer all
love
your.
us, at least like the video,
Yeah,
Jesus.
right.
Oh yeah, Zagreus is saying hello, my fellow Islamophobes. Hi, right back at you.
Hello, hello.
Guys, we're gonna be answering Patreon questions. And today we're not going to bring YouTube members up, but next week we'll bring YouTube members up to speak with us directly. Today we're gonna. So the way this works is we usually answer Patreon questions. If you want us to answer your questions every week, we have the show this time. So become a patron and then send us your questions and we'll answer them. But usually at the end, YouTube members get to come and talk to us live on air, but not today. But usually we do that. Today instead, before we answer Patreon questions, I want to share something with you guys, and then we'll go to the Patreon questions. Okay? So, Secular Rarity. Did you follow the game between Iran and United States? The
Oh
soccer
yeah.
game?
Oh yeah. Oh definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Watched it.
Yes. Did you do you know the in Iran this whole soccer game was mixed with politics and also the current situation in Iran around the protests? Did you follow any of that story?
I
Do you know?
I know that there's some. I know that there's a little bit. I knew that there was a lot of support for the Iranian team at the stadium where it was playing. Again, of course, I know about the protests that are happening, revolution, some say. So,
Okay, so
I,
you don't seem to
not
know what I'm
not
talking about.
this particular connection. I think this is totally
Okay,
brand new to me. So,
you're okay. So your general, so you seem to be under the impression this is good. This is good. So you don't know what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
What do you think? So United States won,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Iran lost,
mm-hmm.
right? 1-0, right? Given the way you were talking about this to me at the beginning of the show, I also kind of thought that you might not know what's happening here. What do you think? What do you think the Iranian people? How did they react to this whole news?
The Iranian people, how did they react to
Yes.
finding out that Iran lost?
Hmm.
I am gonna guess they were happy with it.
Okay, let me show you
Okay.
because I think okay. Let me.
He's
I'm
been
gonna.
teasing this. He's been teasing this to me the entire time we were backstage before. He was like, "Oh my gosh, oh wow, this is intense. Like, I'm not going to tell you about it yet. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
this, y'all. I want to know."
Yes. Okay. So this is what I'm about to show you, and I'm going to show you a series of videos. Okay. And you have to understand what I'm showing you is inside Iran. Okay. This is not Iranians outside of Iran. Okay. This is inside of Iran. Iranians responding to their team losing to United States of America. Okay? Watch this. This is my first video.
Oh my gosh. No freaking way.
It's an
No freaking way.
that's Iranians cheering the victory of United States with an American flag inside Iran. Okay?
Wow.
Okay? So let me show you more. Okay? These are Iranians in Zanjan. Okay, let me read. celebrating the loss of the Iranian team, celebrating the loss of their own team. Okay, they are cheering the loss of the Iranian team. Look at this. You have audio?
Oh yeah.
شادی مردم زنجان بعد از باخت تیم.
People were outside all night till 2, 3 a.m. Many places celebrating, dancing, cars honking. Okay, like playing music everywhere.
Wow. I don't even think we were celebrating that hard in the United States for the win.
This is the religion of Iran. Okay, the religion of Iran is not Islam; it's soccer. Okay,
Yeah.
I grew up exposed to fanatics wishing and hoping and praying to everything that their team wins in World Cup, the Iranian team. This year, people were out in celebrations for the loss of their own team. You have no idea how upside down the whole world has become. This is something that these people were so used to be so emotional about, the exact opposite of this. Like dogmatically wishing, like they would sacrifice their own children for the national team to win. And now imagine what is happening in Iran, that people are out in the street until 1, 2, or 3 a.m. with music, dancing, and celebrating, and fireworks for the loss of their team. Tell me, people, what does this? These saying this be crazy?
They do.
Right? I have more.
Wow. Yeah, imagine running a country so shittily, so poorly and disgustingly to your citizens that they are not supporting their national team at the World Cup. Imagine being a part of such a terrible, disgusting, atrocious regime. Gosh, wouldn't it just be great if they all fucking left? Wouldn't it just be so much better? I mean,
yeah. So Qasem, who's Iranian, from Iran, he's saying, hey, it was not our team. This was the Islamic Republic's team. Okay, our team is in jail. Okay, so that's what they're saying. People don't consider the Iranian team to be Iran's team. They're like, this is not Iran's team. This is the Islamic Republic's team. Right?
How long ago was it, Armin, that we were seeing regular new videos from Iran with large groups of people burning the American flag and saying things like "Death to America"? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah, but that was not like, okay, so we have the Iranian people are very polarized right now, right?
Right.
So we still have those people. The thing is that when Iran won against Wales, we had the pro-regime people coming out and celebrating, okay? But it was so insignificant compared to this.
Yeah.
Like, because we don't have a referendum in Iran to show how much support the Iranian regime has. By the way, there was audio leaked right now that actually shows that apparently we have 80% support for the protests, 80%, according to government itself. Okay, because we had audio leaks from the government. Okay, based on their own polls and stuff, right? But the thing is that, given that we don't have official polls and stuff, the Iranian people now can see that how many people, like, this is the closest thing we can get to a referendum. The number of people who came out for the national team when they won against Wales, and the number of people who came out in celebration everywhere, okay, all around Iran, partying the loss of the team. But let me show you. Okay, so this is Masih Ali-Najad captions. Waving American, this is another American flag waving in Iran. Waving American flag in the streets of Iran. For 43 years, regime brainwashed Iranians to hate America. But see how people across Iran are celebrating the victory of U.S. soccer team against the Islamic Republic. People are heard shouting, "America, we're behind you." Look at this video. Yeah. Look at this American flag in Iran again. I didn't even know how they get an American. Where did they go get an American flag in Iran?
I know. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I like wonder how they got that.
Oh
I know
my
they have
gosh.
ones for burning, so maybe they got one of some of those.
Like, no, seriously, I'm gonna burn it. No, I swear I will. It's like, oh, all right, you promise? You promise you're gonna burn the American flag? Like, totally. Oh my gosh.
Look at this.
That's insane.
Wait,
That's insane.
look at it. This is San Andaj, another place celebrating. Okay, I keep having to repeat myself. These are Iranian people celebrating the loss of their national team, celebrating the loss of the Iranian team. Okay, as Qasim says, it's not their team, but whatever.
It is a very, very strange situation. That is very much the case. And also, I just want to point out that they seem to be throwing very good parties. So I just think, here in the United States, we could take some lessons from our Iranian friends and learn how to do better parties, because apparently they're doing better than us. So, just a little bit more excitement and dancing and better music. Maybe that's.
See, like this is this is the caption. This is from Tehran. It's 1 a.m. in Tehran, and a lot of people are out celebrating. You know why? Because the Iranians so much hate this regime. Soccer-loving people of Iran are celebrating the defeat of the regime in World Cup. So
بعد بازی آمریکا
you can see at the background.
ساعت 1 شبه
Wow.
انقدر این جمهوری منفور اسلامی مردم
You see how many people are honking? Like this is like these are people who are fed up with the regime.
Yeah.
آسیب کرده که یک شب برای اولین بار مردم فوتبال دوست ایران دارن خوشحالی میکنن از باخت ایران.
Wow. I gotta say,
yeah,
I gotta say, when I, as I've been following this, because I am still a fan. I know I have conflicting feelings about this, because obviously FIFA is a very corrupt organization. The Qatar regime is obviously atrocious on a lot of things. But I still love the World Cup, and I enjoy watching it. But I did definitely get some satisfaction when Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Iran were knocked out of the tournament. I did feel good about that, because I feel like there's an opportunity for stuff like this. I feel like this is a moment for really, really intense statement that we, as the Iranian people, are so fed up with this regime's bullshit that we are willing to back the United States soccer team beating our soccer team at the highest stage. I mean, I think that's a very, very powerful statement, I think. So,
hey, look, this is fireworks in celebration of the.
Wow.
Yeah, people are.
I'm serious. I think these parties were more widespread and more intense than most of the parties in the U.S. Like,
yeah, Iranians celebrated the U.S. win over Iran more than Americans did.
This is why we're not great. This is why we're not that great at soccer. I just want to point that out. I just want to say this is why, because other people care on such a different level than we do in the United States. It's shameful.
Don't worry, Iranians are here to cheer American teams. Like, look, more fireworks in celebration of America winning over Iran in Sates.
Wow.
Oh, this was when the first goal was scored. So you can see as soon as the US scored the first goal, there were so many shouts of celebration, like right in streets of different cities in Iran, with people using fireworks. Right at the time that the score was made, you could hear from everyone's windows cheering, people coming out and celebrating.
Wow.
It was. Look at that. Oh, wow, we got a super chat. I'm going to read that. All right, I have. So this was amazing, but I do have some bad news to share about this as well. So this guy, what's his name? So this guy who you see he is celebrating this is his birthday, okay? So, but he was shot dead. This guy was shot dead by Iranian forces. Do you know what his crime was?
No.
He was honking in celebration of the US win in the street. Right? So Iranian security forces killed him. His crime, he was celebrating the defeat of the Islamic Republic football team. So just because he's celebrating, he was shot dead. Okay? Guys, what is his name? I forgot. It doesn't include it in the tweet.
That's crazy, man. It's just that's just ridiculous. It's disgusting and it's ridiculous, and it's you know, it's the tactics of a regime that knows they're in the wrong. Because they'll do the most atrocious thing because they know that there's no other chance. You know, I mean, like you said, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or last week or whatever, but I had, asked you about the possibility for the protesters being appeased if the government just, made some changes, right? And you said, no, that just infuriates them more. And now the regime knows that they can't do anything else. And so they just start indiscriminately killing people just to perpetuate fear, just to make everyone afraid. That's just ridiculous.
So his name was Mehran Samak. Thank you, Eric, for letting us know his name. That's very kind. We did get by the way, we got a lot of audio leaks from the regime itself talking about the protests. And it is just so revealing. Somebody in the meeting, top officials in the regime talking about it, and so many of the things that we thought were confirmed. So many of the stats we had were confirmed. So all the people who think that we were like making this stuff up, now we have confirmation from the regime itself that none of this was like a conspiracy theory and everything. We have their own accounts, and it's actually worse than what we thought. Like we weren't going far enough. But I mean, I might maybe on the news show we go over some of the details that has been revealed, but it's unbelievable. We do have a super chat by Secular Sakai. Thank you so much, $20 super chat. That's very generous. Thank you. Guys, we do answer super chats as well. So now I'm gonna go to super chat and questions and Patreon questions as well, right? So Secular Sakai is saying Azeris in Armenia live secretly, hiding their ethnicity and changing their names to avoid assault. The same is true for Armenians living in Azerbaijan. So Azeris in Armenia and Armenians living in Azerbaijan, right? So how, I don't know if I heard like the term Azeri is, a lot of people don't like the term Azeri because people just say they're Turkish. But there's like different opinions about that. Okay. But anyways, the question is, how can the ethnic hatred heal? Can the diasporas begin the dialogue? I don't know how the relationship between Armenians and Azeris are outside of the Armenistan and Azerbaijan region. Okay. But what I do know, what studies do show, is that people feel closer together. The ethnic division becomes less pronounced when people live side by side with each other, right?
Yep.
So when people are living in isolation or in ghettos separate from each other, that causes hatred. But when they're mixed with each other and they work with each other and they study with each other and they shop with each other and they party with each other and dance with each other and go watch shows with each other, that makes them not, everything shows that actually reduces ethnic tension, which is the exact opposite of what right-leaning people tell you. A lot of right-leaning people tell you. Right-leaning tell people like, if we could be friends with each other if we live away from each other. Like if white people and black people weren't living with each other, they would actually be able to have good relationships with each other, and living together brings tension. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
Everything shows that no, if you actually mix them up, that actually reduces tension. That doesn't increase tension.
If only we had some historic example where, say, a country as a whole specifically decided to separate people lawfully, criminally, in a sense, based on if only we had some example to point to, like the United States or South Africa with apartheid. There's literally millions of examples, people. But yeah, I mean, everything you said is exactly education and experience. Education and experience. The more that you encounter people that are different from you and have a different cultural background and historical understanding and so forth, the more that you come to realize it's a pretty radical thought, I know, but the more you come to realize that all humans are humans at the end of the day. Some of us are good, some of us are bad, all the varying degrees, but there's no group of people out there that is just inherently just shit all the way around. Like, funny enough, when you go hang out with some Latinos, you're like, wow, all of these really mean things that I thought about Latinos aren't true. So yeah.
Yes. However, I agree with what you're saying. However, as much as it's fun to always hate on America, America is relatively very good about all of this. Yes. Especially by comparing it to. So here's the thing. Like, the question is, how do we cause hatred like this to heal, right? So unfortunately, unlike America, which is, as much as it has ethnic tensions and problems, right? It doesn't have borders that are defined by ethnicities,
right?
Which is, you can see in the name of these countries, okay? Azerbaijan and Armenia or Armenistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Literally a country named after an ethnicity, okay? Mm-hmm. And unlike some other countries who are named after their ethnicity, like Denmark or Sweden, they haven't evolved out of that mentality.
Right.
They do see the identity of their country. It's not just a national. It's not just a border. It's just not a national identity. The country has a ethnic identity. Okay, yes. So United States has matured above that. United States, even though it has ethnic tensions, takes pride in being a melting pot and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So it aspires to be more than like that. These countries actually take pride in being the opposite of it. Imagine how much worse United States would be if, like these countries, it took pride in being a white country.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So these countries do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so the solution, like I mentioned, is for these countries to come close to, like, these ethnicities to live side by side close together. But when you have countries that they define their borders along the lines of where different ethnicities should be, making that happen is very difficult. So I don't know. What do you have? What do you? So I maybe you're right. Maybe it is up to the diaspora. Like, it is up to people outside of Azerbaijan, Azeris and Armenians outside of these places to make these ethnic borders meaningless. But what do you think?
No, I think you have a very good point, which is the ethno-national states around the world, whether they are, specifically focused on it consciously, or, like you said, it's this kind of vestige of hundreds and hundreds of years ago that they still haven't moved out of. It is harder in those countries to get more of this mixing of various ethnicities. You're absolutely right on that. And one of the things that is really, really awesome about the United States, even if we aren't perfect with it in practice, is that it does very much seem that from the founding of our country, the idea of, completely stopping other people from coming into the country because they're not, quote unquote American, that definitely was against it. Again, we haven't always practiced that super well, obviously, right? There's a lot of examples I could give. But with a country like Azerbaijan, with a country like Sweden, with a country like France, China, they are much more focused on that ethnic identity for sure. Again, I really do think at the end of the day, education and experience are the two biggest things that cuts out that hatred. Because again, when you're educated and you have these experiences with the different groups of people, you start to you start to see them less in a shitty light, right?
Yeah.
So
it also doesn't help that people who share your same ethnic background outside of your borders are adding to that tension,
For sure.
right? So in Azerbaijan case, for example, you have Turkey sharing the same Turkish ethnic background with Azerbaijan and trying to use that as an opportunity, as a weaponize that ethnicity against Armenia as a way to bring solidarity through ethnicity. That makes it a lot worse.
Yeah. Totally.
Anyways, we got $100 super chat.
That's amazing.
We don't get
That is
$100
awesome.
super chat.
That is
Guys,
awesome.
we do not. This is not a channel. This is a small channel. We don't get. This is not a channel that gets $100 super chats.
That is
unbelievable.
amazing.
Thank you so much. We actually do need the support right now. So thank you so much. We actually times are tough right now. So this is very helpful. Thank you so much, LilyPad LA. Wow, $100 super chat, amazing. This is the type of super chats you see on like much bigger channels. So I really appreciate this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
So let's see what the question is. LilyPad LA is saying, thanks as always for the amazing content and analysis, you guys. Oh, thank you. How do you see the uprisings in Iran and PRC, which is the People's Republic of China, affecting each other and or magnifying the destabilizing and rebellious energy globally, if at all?
That's a good question.
All right. So I was very surprised to see some people in China so as they're protesting against the CCP, okay? And by the way, it's not just the protest in China, it's not just about the COVID like that, right? That was what started it. That was the ignited all of it, but it's now becoming a lot more than that, right? But I was surprised that I saw, I don't know if you heard this, some people in China among the chants had support for the Iranian protests.
Oh, really? I did not hear that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
guys, you're on your third day of your protest. What did you like? How?
It's
like,
bold stance.
Yeah, but because the Chinese people have been stereotypically been portrayed as people who are just followers. They keep their head down and they don't show much care for people around them. And it's just like try to not disturb anything so that you don't get in trouble. And there are videos from China showing that, oh, there's somebody dying in the street or in trouble and nobody's helping them. But so that stereotype is now being questioned when people in China are protesting, and in the middle of their chants, they were chanting in support of Uyghur Muslims in China and Iranians, which is
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that was weird. That was like, I did not expect that. Okay, I had to screenshot that because I'm like, is this made up? Like, I had to screenshot the news. Actually, let me show this. It's in Persian because I was watching Persian news. But because people might not believe it, because I didn't believe it, I'm like, I have to capture this because this does not seem right. Like, I had to
I think they're definitely going to play off each other. I don't see why they wouldn't, right? I mean, we're now in a boat where we have the ability to be so connected with these types of movements around the world that I really do feel like more and more groups of people that are being oppressed, that are being taken advantage of by shitty autocratic regimes, like I think we are going to see more solidarity between them. At least I hope so, because I think that magnifies the voice of it, right? That magnifies how much impact this can actually have. So I'm all for it. Like,
okay, so this is not made up. Okay, so first of all, the news that I'm reading here, it says اعتراضات بی‌سابقه در چین, which means unprecedented uprisings in China, and then in white it says حمایت معترضین چینی از مسلمانان Uyghur و معترضان در ایران. I don't know how you say that in Persian. So it says the support of Chinese protesters from of Uyghur Muslims and Iranian protesters.
Wow.
So, and also, so I was like, is this real? Maybe the news got it wrong, because I couldn't believe it. I
Right.
engaged an American who speaks Chinese, says, yes, now we're having confirmation in the live chat as well. Yes, I heard it in Mandarin.
Wow.
I cannot believe that. Asian American, can you explain what would motivate? Because these Chinese protesters have a lot of their own problems that they have to deal with when it comes to their
Yes.
freedom. I mean, they're risking everything.
Yeah.
Okay, like the Chinese protesters, the things that they're chanting, people have disappeared in half a day for things for much less, because the protests that recently the CCP have been allowing are protests against certain corporations or local government, as a way to make sure that there is no, because they realize that you have to allow some protests because there's some anger that was brewing, and they realized that they cannot contain this anger, so they allowed protests as long as it wasn't directed at CCP. Now these protests, for the first time since Tiananmen Square, is being directed right at the CCP. So this is unusual. People have been disappeared for much less. And I've seen, I can't show that, can I? I've seen such harsh crackdown in China on the people. I've seen Chinese car just driving over people.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can show that here on YouTube. So
Probably not.
just go look that up. But anyway, so that's I do want to answer the question though, because the question is about a lot more than that. How do you see the uprising in Iran and PRC affecting each other? Okay, so I think the battle for the future of this planet is between the forces of liberalism and the forces of tyranny, right? And there are alarming trends and also hopeful reactions, right? We see the rise of anti-liberalism, okay, in many places around the world. And a lot of it is because of religion, except in two places, in Russia and China, okay? So the forces for illiberalism right now is the CCP, Putin, the BJP in India, some parts of the BJP in India, because some part of it is weirdly pro-LGBT, but some parts of it is anti-Muslim. So some parts of the BJP. And then we have
GOP.
the GOP, which is the biggest threat right now. And also the rise of far right in Europe, especially in Italy and Sweden and in some other places, right?
Yep.
So these are the elements of illiberalism challenging our future, this planet's future, okay? And the biggest one is the GOP. If they manage to get the White House, it's going to be really difficult to and also, by the way, the Islamic Republic of Iran, okay? So that too. But so this is very worrying, all these illiberal trends coming back, because we seem to be going in the very good direction for a while, right? The things that are hopeful, on the other hand, is Ukraine's resistance to Putin, and almost picking up so much of this burden of saving the planet, okay? Because Ukraine is not just defending Ukraine right now. Ukraine, by defeating Putin, if Putin's humiliation is upholding the norms and standards that has brought this liberal order around the world, that has kept the world a much safer and stable place since World War II. Okay, so Ukraine defeating Russia would be a defeat of trying to undo those norms and those standards. Okay, and it's a warning to everyone else in the world, that in every other country that was, because if Putin was successful, it would create a lot of motive and didn't go unchallenged. It would basically start a whole bunch of other countries trying to do the same thing, especially in the Middle East and Africa, right?
Yeah.
it would be a disaster. So Ukraine is saving the planet by resisting Putin's advances. But Iranian people rising up to their tyrants has been part of a hopeful trend, because us liberals have this sometimes too much of a hopeful perspective that tyranny will not last, that people will rise up, that democracy and liberalism and secularism is what people want so much that no tyrant can hold people for too long if they try that, right? And sometimes we're like, yeah, but really? Like, does it happen? And when you see people in Iran rise up against all odds, against a force that they should not be able to challenge, and come out in such force and able to almost bring the Islamic Republic of Iran to its knees, you think like, okay, maybe it's true. Maybe, because we don't want to be waiting for United States or Europe to just come and save the day, because if you're dependent on forces like that, then you have to give in to their human rights violations and just accept it. But if it is just the people that always will come out and challenge tyranny, as people have proven in Iran, then there is hope for the future of this planet. And then you go on in China, because as much as Iranian people rising up against their government is surprising, because you think that they have no chance, okay? It is even more surprising for that to happen in China, because the Chinese government, the CCP, is a lot more effective at crushing dissent than the Islamic Republic is. Like, every single Chinese citizen in China is under constant monitoring, under a microscope, in a way that the Islamic Republic of Iran can never achieve. And we were under this assumption that the Chinese people have been put in such level of submission that even the thought of protesting against the central government was something that they would just crush within them before it ever had a chance to come out and express itself. And the Chinese people have proven us wrong, that there is still a hope, a motivation to fight for freedom, even in such dark places, such that for hope in places where such hope seemed to have been crushed so effectively that it would never grow again. You see, hope still grows in a place like China. So if it could grow in a place like China, then it can grow anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's so you ask, how do these affect each other? They give each other hope. They give each other motivation. Ukrainian people are in support of Iranian people against their government. Okay, and we had a question recently also about racism and ethnic tensions, right? That as much as we don't like to admit it, in these places in China and Iran, there's a lot of racism, right? And because there's a lot of racism, unfortunately, sometimes people associate their cooperation of CCP with the Islamic Republic of Iran as something that the Chinese people are in support of, right? Just like we saw a lot of people around the world, because of the terrorist activities that the Islamic Republic is involved with, a lot of people associated Iranian people with activities like that. But when the Iranian people rose up against the government, they distanced themselves from such values, right? And they brought a lot of they bought themselves a respect around the world, right? So in Iran, because a lot of Iranian people hate their government, hate their regime, there's some ethnic tension between the Iranian people and Chinese people. But now the Chinese people are showing the Iranian people, we're not the CCP. And there's a lot of respect now in Iran for the Chinese people. Okay? And this is how you can bring people who are so far away in their struggle, in their fight for democracy and freedom, Okay, they feel so close to each other, even with all the geographic barrier, with the language barrier, with the history barrier. People that seem to have nothing to do with each other all of a sudden feel connected with each other because they're all human, and humans prefer better lives, prefer free lives, prefer lives that where they are in charge of their own destiny. And they share that. No matter how much different they are in everything else, they share that, and they could bond over that. And what that could eventually bring about is a unity or a cooperation between people all around the world in their struggle with each other for a freer and more liberal world. Anyways, I talk so much.
No, I think you did. No, I think it was all very good, man. I totally agree with so much of that. And again, just I think if the way that these types of events are handled by the regime in Iran or China, if it is one where it results in mass slaughter of their people, which has happened in the past, I think that emboldens the other side to feel like they can get away with that without the international community standing up against that and holding them accountable. Which is why I agree so strongly when you say things like, Ukraine losing, their country essentially to this Russian Putin invasion, right? That is something that has ramifications for all other countries around the world. And I totally agree with that. And the same here. If we start seeing such atrocities like we have seen in the past from the Iranian regime, from the CCP, if we start seeing that and we as a global community do not stand up and push back against that, other autocrats like that will be emboldened to take such steps. So yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I love the hard stance you have on that, because I just think it is that important,
Yeah, somebody is agreeing with you.
True.
Yeah. So Eric is saying, yes, Rarity, this Russian invasion, the problem goes beyond. Yeah.
True. Very true.
Okay. Anyways, so let me just unhighlight all these comments. We actually now have to get to the pit. I was supposed to finish this a lot earlier. So.
Well, we got some really wonderful super chats from some great people out there. And just a
Yes.
reminder, if you're out there and you have money and you want to give it to us, you can do that in multiple ways. There's a Patreon link. There's super chats. I think you can do like super thanks or something. Like after the video is over, you can leave a comment with money. So do those things if you can. But what do we got?
Yeah. Okay. So we have D asking us, just wondering if you guys knew about this. And by this, she means this. So...
I only clicked on this link. And I didn't go much further than this right here because I wanted to give, like fresh reactions to this. But I mean, at first, like my very first thought reading that headline is just like,
yeah. This is funny. Okay, so the title says Thai monks fail drug tests, leaving temple empty. So the answer, D, is no. I had no idea about this, but. Yeah, a small Buddhist temple in Thailand has been left without any monks after they were all dismissed for failing drug tests, local officials have said. I mean, if they all fail, then there's something then maybe you shouldn't have the standard.
There's something systemic going on. It's not like, and apparently, because like the first line in the article is that they tested positive for methamphetamine. It's not like,
Whoa.
It's not like, it's right.
Really? Wait, let me read it.
Look. 4 monks, including the abbot, tested positive for methamphetamine.
Oh no, I thought they were smoking weed. I was going to support them. I was like, don't have this rule. That's not good.
These monks are just zooted. I mean, they are absolutely just high if they're doing meth. How are they getting meth? Like, how are they doing this? Are they manufacturing?
And this is Thailand. Thailand is like really strict about these things. Really strict.
Yes.
How are they like? How are all the monks in Wow! In Thailand, don't you go to jail for a very long time? In
I'm pretty
Thailand
sure it's a
for-
really big crime. I'm pretty sure it's a
Yeah.
really, really big crime, honestly.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very surprising, man.
But Secular Sakai just gave us $5 super sticker. Thank you so much.
you.
It's a pair, by the way. You can't see it here, but it's a pair laughing.
Mhm.
Thank you. Let me just read a little bit. Okay, I can't read this. Somebody said the monks were subsequently sent to a health clinic to undergo drug rehabilitation. The raid comes up. Oh my God, there was a raid. National campaign to tackle drug trafficking.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. By the way, why do you think monks would all be high? Like, is their job?
Oh, I have
This
lots
shows-
of questions. Yeah.
No, doesn't this show that meditation in Buddhism fails if these people need to be high on drugs?
They didn't do a super great job of like that giving up the worldly attachments thing. It's like we gave up like everything except for meth. Like we really gotta keep
No, this is actually a really good demonstration of the failure of Buddhism. Okay, because first of all, like you're supposed to be, your mind is supposed to be at peace with all that meditation. You are supposed to be able to detach yourself from all the world pleasures. But these people have bigger problems than the rest of us.
Yeah.
They're
Have you
not
ever-
even. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the phrase that Gandhi is dandy, but liquor is quicker?
No, I haven't. But liquor cannot become. But that cannot be
not the
yeah,
meth.
this-
Yeah. The meth is freaking intense. Like they went. I wonder if honestly, there's a couple of things came to mind. One, first off, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's only 4 monks at a temple. Like I guess I didn't realize there was just that low amount of staff. Because that was weird. It was like all of them failed, and I'm like, oh my god, like dozens of monks, and they're like, well, it was 4 of them. So that was surprising. But the second thing that kind of came to my mind was like, do you think they like started with like marijuana or something? Do you think like maybe they started with cocaine and then like after doing it for a while, one of the monks was like, I got this other thing? Or do you think do you think they went straight from meditation to meth? Because I mean, talk about Eminem, right? I mean,
wow, we got a $50 super chat by LilyPad LA. Thank you so
Woo!
much. This is crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Generous.
Seriously.
$50.
It helps a
Wow.
lot, y'all. You really don't know how
Yes.
much that means.
Especially
Also,
now. Yeah.
liking the video helps. I see that some of you have not based on the numbers.
Yes. Like the video. Guys. That's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost
that's free.
anything.
And also, Secular Sakai just gave us another $4 super sticker. Thank you. Oh, wait. Wait. I forgot to mention what the super stickers are. So, LilyPad LA is like a Chinese fox. I think it's a Chinese or a Buddhist, I don't know what it is. And Secular Sakai is a hippo, hippopotamus. Thank you. Okay, so look, the temple is now empty of monks, and nearby villages are concerned they cannot do any merit making. Merit making is an important Buddhist practice where worshippers gain a protective force through good deeds, in this case by giving food to monks. But why would you want to do merit making anymore? Like, if the protective force, if the shield they gave you worked, they wouldn't be in so much trouble. Like, why are these villagers thinking like, oh no, where do we get the protective force? Do you still want the protective force from these people? I mean, they couldn't even protect themselves.
I also really like the thought of like a very old Thai grandmother, you know, like going to the temple, but instead of holding like fresh baked bread or something, she's got like a bag of meth. She's like, I really want some merit today. Like I really want some protective force here. Do you think like hardcore drugs are like better for you in terms of like getting
You
good
know what?
karma?
I think that's what they mean. I think these monks might have been their dealers. They just said like, oh yeah, we're very concerned about merit making. Maybe
like
they have a.
Armin, like one of the people in the area is just like talking to the local news, like scratching your heart. They're like, I just really got to get back to the temple, man. Like, I don't know why. I'm really feeling like I really got to get back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think merit
this is
making
great.
is code for something else. Yeah.
That's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah. Protective force. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that's very funny. It's a very great
Okay.
story. Thank you, D. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee.
Um,
I mean,
gosh.
not to make any. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are suffering in Thailand. So.
Oh, for sure, for
But,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
you know.
but Thai officials, obviously, whatever you're doing, it's not working. Like you guys with this, I find in countries where they don't allow like weed and stuff, like people are more likely to go with the hard drugs because they don't. It's just like all or none with people. Yeah. So
Philippines. The Philippines is
Yeah.
a good example of
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Maybe if you allowed people to smoke weed, they wouldn't go for the hard stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird thought, Armin. I don't know. It's not like there's data or science backing that thought up. So
Yeah.
totally.
It does. It totally. There is.
Yeah.
All right. Question from Gagin American. Surprisingly, not a weird question. So Gagin American is asking the first line of the PRC, for people who don't know, that's for People's Republic of China. PRC's national anthem is "Arise, ye who refuse to be slaves." Oh, how ironic! Do you think the PRC might have shot themselves in the foot with a national anthem all about revolution? Yeah, this actually very similar to Iran, by the way. Okay, everything in the Islamic Republic's culture is about revolution theme, right? So because of the 1979 revolution, so it's kind of like backfiring right now.
Wow.
So Gagin American is saying, can it take on a new meaning with protesters chanting it both to avoid censorship and as a rallying cry of defiance? Well, I don't know about China, but if they want to use Iran as a model, then I would suspect yes. Okay, in Iran, the regime doesn't know what to do with these narratives right now, because a lot of Iranian people are saying we have clips of Khomeini constantly saying, and Khamenei telling people why the revolution of 1979 was justified. And if you look at the metrics of why it was justified, everything they were saying applies to today in the current revolution in Iran, right? One thing the regime says to people is that the current protesters is that they shouldn't be protesting. They should just accept the law, and good citizens just follow the law, even if they have a problem with the laws. They could just bring it up with the officials, and they could like review it, even though that never happens. Like, you get arrested for complaining, you get arrested, you get shut down, you get silenced, right? And they're like, but even if your complaints don't get anywhere, it's your duty as a citizen to just obey the laws. That's what a good citizen does. And people are like, are you effing kidding me? Your entire regime is in power because people didn't obey the law. The founders of this regime are people who rose up against the previous regime and committed illegal acts. They started a revolution that was illegal, and now you're telling us that a good citizen is somebody who obeys the law? What? You did not obey the law. That's why we have an Islamic Republic, right? So they're just caught in their own hypocrisy, and they're now using. It's very interesting because people have clips of Khamenei telling people why they should not protest, and they put him right next to clips of him, a few decades ago, about the reason why they themselves had a revolution and why they rose up. And just side by side, it just looks so hypocritical. So I don't know if it sounds like you could do the same thing in China based on what a Asian American is telling me. Yeah.
One thing I'll definitely give credit to the Chinese citizens all throughout the country who have been protesting over the last few years. They are often incredibly creative with their ways to organize these rallies and to voice their dissent. I have seen all kinds of incredible things, right? I think here on Atheist Republic, on a news a while ago, you guys even talked about how there was some Chinese PORN that was being put out in the country of China, that in the middle of it would have dates and times and locations for the next rally. I remember hearing about that. I remember, seeing about TikTok videos where people would start out by saying like, let me show you the best way to put eyeshadow, on your eyelids. And then like 5 seconds into the video, they would be like, just open the makeup and just put it on your eye. By the way, do you know about all these atrocities that the CCP is doing to the Uyghur Muslims and stuff?
Yes.
These individuals in China that are protesting are brilliant with their ways to voice their dissent and protest the CCP. So I totally think this should take on a new meaning, and should take on that meaning that they're tired of. Innovative. Thank you. That's a very good word. Yeah, truly impressive. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I just think in all of these countries where we are starting to see more and more protests, especially the ones that are like hardcore in love with their country's history for protest and stuff, it's like, come on, guys. Come on, just take the next step. It's like, okay, your country started because of protest, because you claim that the old one was bad. Now this one is bad, so you should get a new government. All right, good job. So
yeah. It also works with Islam, because a lot of Muslim parents tell their children that they should just remain Muslim because that's the religion of their parents. But Muhammad has hadith where he says to the people before him, to Quraysh, do you just have your religion just because your parents had your religion? And so the people, like ex-Muslims, could just throw that at their parents, right? So,
oops.
Yeah. So let's go to. Okay. Wait, we already answered this one. Wait, did I miss something? I hope I didn't forget. The first PRC we answered. Okay. Let's go to this one. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Twitter's impersonation accounts tanking? How do you read this?
Eli Whitney.
Eli Whitney stock. Yeah, stock market. Yeah, I saw that. Is that the one with the insulin, saying insulin is
Yeah. I
free?
think the Eli Whitney stock market is more of a dig at it than anything, I think. But there have been multiple accounts that have really screwed up shareholders and stocks and so forth.
So for people who don't know, because of the new way that you could use the check mark in Twitter, people use it as a way to pretend that they're big companies that they're not, because you could just pay $8 and all of a sudden you have the verified, like let's say you have McDonald's in your username and you have the blue check mark next to you, makes it seem like you're officially like the official account for McDonald's. So people have been using that to act like they're different companies and making hilarious tweets. And apparently one of these companies had a major crash in its stock price because of it. So the question continues, how much each party responsible impersonator, like, I don't know, can you read the rest of this? I don't know how to read
how much is each party responsible? Impersonators, Beryllium Air, and the gullible shareholders who dump their stocks. Yeah, I think so.
Everybody?
I have a couple of feels on this. I mean, on one side of it, with like the insulin stuff, specifically in the United States, a lot of the pharmaceuticals are regulated in such a way that it's quite problematic and harmful to the individuals whose life depends on those pharmaceuticals. So I definitely am not losing much sleep or shedding many tears for Johnson & Johnson losing some money. At the same time, I do have a problem with individuals being able to impersonate large organizations or corporations and so forth, and spreading false information that ultimately can harm people. Telling people that insulin is free, unfortunately, it is harmful. It is harmful because there are some people who will just take that and accept that as true, and they will try and they will change their life in such a way where they're expecting, the life-saving medication for them to be given to them for free, and then it isn't, and then they don't have the ability to go back, right? Because they have to pay the electric bill today, because it has to be paid today, or they don't have electricity by the time that they wake up. So they have to make a decision, and they do make that decision. And because somebody lied to troll or to just drop a little bit off the stock price or whatever, that can cause those people harm. So I definitely have a bit of a conflicting feeling on this. But I think part of this is in fault due to Elon Musk and his policies when it came to taking over Twitter. I think some of the things that he's already tried to institute clearly have not worked, and these are some of the ramifications. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see where it ends up going. He's already made some other comments about changing the blue tick and all this stuff. So we'll see. But again, totally honestly, I am not going to lose a single minute of sleep tonight or throughout the entire rest of this year over major pharmaceutical companies in the United States losing some money. That's not going to affect me much. So,
all right, let's go to the next question. Okay, D is asking the German Parliament. Wait, let me ask before I go to the question. We got a new Secular Sakai question. This Secular Sakai is asking: Turkey may invade Syria soon to attack the YPG Kurdish forces there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I heard about that. Do you believe that Iran will somehow be dragged into it if an invasion occurs? I don't know, but I can't see how, because it would be very messy. And I mean, Iran is more focusing on the Kurdish in the Kurdistan region of Iran and the Kurdistan region of Iraq. So Iran is not as much involved in the Kurdistan region of Syria, right? And it's very actually bad for Iran-Iraq relationship. For Iran, I don't know if you know this, by the way, Iran over the past month or two has been bombarding the Kurdish region of Iraq.
Yeah, I've seen some.
That's another country, right? If it was any other country, this would be an act of war. But Iran, it just feels like so much like Iraq owns Iraq that Iraq is not even officially complaining. Like Iraq there's regions of Iraq that is right now being bombed by the Iranian government. And Iraq is like, okay, I guess like there's not even an official complaint about it.
Yeah.
Any other country, this would be like, oh yeah, Iran and Iraq just went to war with each other. So it's so bizarre. It's just so bizarre that Iran just feels like, yeah, I'm just here bombing parts of a country that is not mine because there's Kurds here and I don't like Kurdish people, so I'm bombing it. But there's that. So Turkey is doing the same thing with the Kurdish region of Syria, and I think like it doesn't seem like as of right now that's going to get mixed because they're different fights. And I also don't think like Turkey and Iran want to be in the same fight right now with each other. That would make them. That would cause their Turkey and Iran the tensions between Turkey and Iran is rising because of Turkey's support for Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan and Iran have border disputes right now. So it's pretty messy. So I do think like Turkey and Iran both agree with each other over the fact that they need to oppress Kurds, but it's different Kurds. So yeah, they don't share.
Yeah, and this is definitely an update that's newer for me. I'm going to respond by saying I severely hope not. I severely hope not, because I fear that will cause a lot more problems than it will solve. So
yes. All right, let's go to D's question. And D is asking, the German parliament approved a resolution labeling Ukraine's, what is that? Holodomor as a genocide, Many countries do not, including the U.S. What are your thoughts on this? I actually don't know much about this, but let's look at the article. Do you know much
No.
about this? Okay.
I will say when you
I-
start typing it into Google, one of the very first results that comes up
Oh.
is Holodomor and then genocide. So I guess that's interesting. But yeah, this is something that I'm not familiar with. So I would argue before we even have to learn anything about it, okay? I would argue, and tell me if I'm way off base here, Armin, but if ultimately at the end of this, the deaths were almost entirely focused on either a specific ethnicity, a specific cultural background, a specific language, these types of things, I would probably say, I would think it was a genocide. If it was, well, because if you're specifically targeting a group based on their ethnicity,
Right.
their back, right. So if this was a specific event that was targeting these people, whether they said it explicitly or not, right, it would qualify as a genocide. That's what I would say. But I mean, yeah, I would, let's learn about it. Let's see what happened.
You know, I'm gonna let my bias show. Okay. I suspect, before looking into it, and tell me if I'm off here. Okay. I suspect if the German parliament has labeled it as a genocide, it's probably a genocide.
You know what?
Yeah.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I'm just applying Occam's razor.
You're probably
Yeah.
right. You're probably
Yeah.
right. We should look into it. We
look
absolutely
into
should before we
Yeah.
determine that. But
Yes.
you're probably right.
So, so Germany's parliament on Wednesday approved a resolution labeling as genocide Ukraine's 1930 Holodomor, a famine believed to have killed more than 3 million Ukrainians under the repressive rule of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. Yeah, I mean Stalin. He does stuff like that, so it's within character. The resolution was brought to the lower house or Bundestag by the three parties in Chancellor Olaf Scholz's governing coalition and the main opposition bloc. After a debate attended by Ukraine's ambassador to Germany, it passed with their support in a show of hands, while the two other opposition parties abstained. The vote comes days after Ukraine's marked the 90th anniversary of the start of the famine. The resolution states that Okay, it's not giving me much information about
what actually happened.
What or how did they come up with this conclusion. Oh, there we go. Here, this is the part that we wanted. Academic opinion remains divided about whether the famine constitutes a genocide, with the main question being whether Stalin intentionally wanted to kill Ukrainians as an attempt to quash an independence movement against the Soviet Union, or whether the famine was primarily the result of official incompetence along with natural conditions.
Can I
Regardless,
jump in
there? Yes.
So I think that's an interesting statement for sure, and I think that the first part of that statement, the intention to specifically enact a genocide isn't the requirement for a genocide, for something to be labeled a genocide, right? Even if you don't intentionally decide I'm going to kill all of these people, right? If the result is one where it is specifically targeting a group of people based on their national identity, based on their ethnic heritage, yada, 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 then it is still a genocide. But that second part of that statement, I do think actually is important, which is the reason that these individuals died could have been related to complete and total incompetence on an official capacity. And that incompetence ultimately affected these people more than anybody else, as opposed to a policy that specifically directly resulted in this group of people's death, right? If again, there is crap government going on for years and years and years, and crap science for years and years and years, which was the case in the Soviet Union, then it is, I can understand that argument a little bit better. But again, I don't think we need a statement from Stalin that specifically says, I hate these people, I want to genocide them, before you can call something a genocide. Is it? Do you think that's a fair distinction? Or
Yeah. For me, all it comes down to is those academics. When it says they're divided, what do you think? I think you're like, okay, but what percentage?
I definitely. Yeah. If we're talking like 50-50, that is definitely a lot different than, the academics are divided and the divide is like 99-1. Like,
like all academics except Bob over there.
Yeah.
Also, I want to see if the academics that disagree with the genocide thing, are they Russian academics? You know what I mean? Like that would be like maybe they're divided.
Too.
Maybe they're divided. Maybe it's 50-50, but the 50 who disagree happen to all be Russian. So I want to know that as well.
That's like academics are divided on climate change, and it's like, oh really? What's the division? And it's like, well, there's all of these people who study it who totally agree it's freaking happening, and then there's this guy that get paid a lot of money by that young Earth creationist group, and it's like, oh, that's not a division as much as it is. Like, come on.
So I guess we need more information. We need to look at like what percentage they're divided and who is the divided.
For sure.
D is saying withholding of food during war was only really propagated in the
Biafra?
What is that? Biafra war, but it is common, unfortunately. Okay, that was interesting. So, all right, Gasian American is asking a question. He's saying, in your opinion, was the unaliving? I think, am I reading that? Unaliving is okay. Unaliving is.
He's using that term instead of another one. So
another one, that's like social media way of using the D word as a way for you not to get censored. The unaliving of Fred Hampton by the FBI justified. Okay, so maybe we should tell people who this guy is.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you familiar with this story? Because I knew even before I saw this, before the show today, I know about Fred Hampton. There's a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons I'll point out is that there's a band called Rage Against the Machine, who has been a very vocal protest type band since the 90s. And they have a lyric that is specifically focused on this individual and the acts of the FBI against him. So definitely an interesting story.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. First of all, Secular Sakai just gave us a $2 super chat with the Atheist Republic emojis, the lion, the circle, and the horse. That's pretty cute. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you so much for your support. But was he actually killed by the... So this... First of all, let's see who... Yes, he was an American activist, okay, and I'm assuming anti-racist activist, right?
Yeah.
Anti-racism,
yeah. You're going to see in just a second Black Panther Party high up as well as NAACP. So
okay, and so it's not a conspiracy that he was killed; like he was actually killed by the FBI.
So if you go down a little bit further, because again, I was familiar with this story, but I wanted to look a little bit further into it to make sure that I was remembering correctly. If you go look down to his assassination, what you will find is that when he was killed, ultimately it was an early morning raid at like 4 a.m. They shot the person that was sitting out, by the door. Basically, there are conflicting reports as to how they shot him, but they did shoot that person and killed him. They ultimately went into Fred Hampton's room and they woke up his pregnant wife and had her leave the room and eventually would shoot him point blank in the back of the head. So
why? Because
he was a prominent activist in the Black Panther movement as well as in the NAACP. There are I don't think it's recordings. I think it's actually writings, but I could be wrong because we do have some recordings from J. Edgar Hoover. But Hoover, during his reign as the FBI head, has made very explicit statements in the past, one of which was directed at Martin Luther King, That specific statement was basically along the lines of, if he continues with this shit, we should try and kill him. Now, obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but there is lots and
Well,
lots and lots of information.
Unalive him. Unalive him.
Unalive. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. YouTube, please do not. Please. We're not
talking
advocating
about
for
people
that.
who are
Right.
already dead.
Right.
YouTube, like
But yes, under J. Edgar Hoover's tenure, he very much focused on a lot of activists in the Black community, activists for equal rights, these types of things. And we have some very explicit statements from him where he is very clearly just wanting to find dirt. There was even a high up FBI investigator at the time who was sent a response from Hoover when this investigator basically said, we've looked into Hampton a lot and we really can't find anything that he's doing. Hoover's response was basically, you will find something or you won't have a job. And so, yeah, it unfortunately it was very, it is. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question seems strange though. How would you answer the question?
Yeah, how would you? Yeah, I mean, why would no? It's not justified. No.
Why would? Okay, I'm actually have a different question myself. Why would Asian Americans assume that there's a chance that me or Secular Rarity would be like, oh yeah, FBI killing this activist, completely justified.
Yeah,
like extrajudicial outside, like just
like suddenly everything about like you and this channel and everything just completely changes, and we're just like, you know what? Actually, this one, not bad.
Outside of just like execute people without.
It definitely is one of those chapters of history in the United States that is pretty atrocious. And yeah, again, this was something that I was familiar with, but I wasn't completely sure that I understood everything about the scenario. But upon further investigation, while I may not agree with some of the things that Fred Hampton was wanting, like there are some policies that he was advocating for that I don't agree with. And that's fine. That doesn't matter. That's the same with a handful of other people throughout history, right? But to go to the point of busting down his door to his house at 4 a.m. and just shooting him point blank. Also, if I remember correctly from my research today, there was somebody that was fairly close to Fred Hampton who was working with the FBI as like an informant and ultimately gave him barbiturates, if you know those drugs, like really intense, like muscle relaxers and stuff. Basically, drugged Fred Hampton the day before the raid, because they knew that the raid was going to happen tomorrow. And that individual not only drugged Fred Hampton the night before, but also was the individual who gave the FBI the information that there was a large stash of weapons at this house, which I don't think they actually recovered. So possibly lied and then drugged the man and was party to him being executed, unalived. So, you muted.
Oh, okay. Last question. By Secular Sakai with a $5 super chat coming in. Thank you so much again, Secular Sakai. You've been very generous. And also, seriously. Is it other than you and Secular and Lilypad LA? You two both were very generous today. Thank you so much. All right, Secular Sakai with a question add-on at the very end is saying, do you guys think that Malcolm X was unalived? Again, guys, unalived is code for the K word here by the FBI, the Nation of Islam, or perhaps both? I think you would know more about this than I do. This is too America focused for me too.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I would say that, unfortunately, I don't think there's enough evidence any which way, which is frustrating on stuff like this. But I think it is very important to point out the fact that, again, Malcolm X is one of those individuals that we have very explicit statements from J. Edgar Hoover about this. We have very explicit statements about Malcolm X from the head of the FBI, who was actively interested in specifically targeting individuals that he thought would be problematic for continuing, as he put it, quote, the white liberal doctrine. There's literally a line from one of his memos that says, through counterintelligence, we should be able to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them. And what they mean by that is exactly what it says here, unaliving people. That is exactly what that meant. And they are explicit about that in other documents from that time that have not been redacted, that are public information we've known about for a very long time. Again, at the end of the day, who is exactly to blame? I do not think we have enough evidence for that.
Yes, but if you had to guess,
if I had to guess, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI and the Nation of Islam worked together. I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI sent some people in such an undercover way as to stoke violent tendencies in the Nation of Islam. But also, if somebody was like, hey, we've got a lot of information that the Nation of Islam was actually just a really shitty organization at the time and very violent, it wouldn't be hard pressed for me to believe that because of the evidence we already have, right? I honestly would if anybody pulled up a document tomorrow and showed me, I'd probably accept it, because neither of these organizations exactly, how do you say, good. So
wait, which two organizations? Nation of Islam and
FBI.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the FBI is today
and better, and better than the Nation of Islam. Totally agree.
Better than the Nation of Islam, but also better than FBI back then.
100%. Totally agree with that. Absolutely. Yes. From all the information that we do have, folks, it does not seem that the FBI is going about this specific targeting of Black people in such a way. Surprisingly, though, there is a lot more not great behavior behind the scenes. There is definitely some shady stuff still going on. But
hey, look at this. Oxymoron is celebrating something about the United States over India. This is a very untribal of you, Oxymoron. This is like very out of character of you. I'm proud of you.
You do realize that's the first step to you becoming a hardcore radical leftist like the rest of us, right?
No, don't tell him that. Oh my God. No. No, you're not a leftist, Oxymoron. Don't worry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So Oxymoron is saying it's great that the U.S. releases its archives time to time. We don't do this in India.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah.
I would also say, though, I think one of the reasons that the United States government does that is specifically because it gives the air of transparency. I think one of the best ways to lie to people is to tell them that give them a little bit more information. So
we should say something nice about India. India is going in the right direction when it comes to gay rights.
Yeah, so I think, and honestly, I think in a lot of ways, I really am hopeful about India. I think there are a lot of really great things that are growing and bubbling over there. There's some not so great stuff, but in general,
economy going the right way.
Yeah,
LGBT rights going the right way.
I know.
Blasphemy not going the right way. Okay, and Hindu-Muslim tension not going the right way. So 2 things going the right way, 2 things not going the right way. My hope is that economy going the right way will fix everything else one day.
They also have some really great music. So there's a lot of really good Indian music.
Oh, by the way, Dee thinks it was Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Also, Asian American was not explaining why he asked us if we think. I'm not going to read that, but that's the reason why he asked us if we think FBI killing was justified.
Well, thanks, Gajan.
Killing of Fred Hampton was justified.
Appreciate that. Check. I just want to say, while I have the time, like Uncle Sam has not responded to my text messages, which is so weird because we had such a great time the last time we went out. Like we went to a movie, we had a dinner, like we walked around the park. It was super great. So like, call me back, Uncle Sam. Anyway.
Let's end it on a hopeful note by Noman041, who's just saying, I have I don't have any hope for India.
I love it. I love the
it.
pessimism. I love it.
By the way, we're not saying this coming from India. Okay, this message is coming from India itself. Okay, I have hope for India. Okay,
too.
so but no one
Me
doesn't
too.
seem to.
Me too.
Anyways, okay. On that note, I leave you guys. Please make sure you like the video. Please like and then go and like all the other videos on our channel that you haven't liked. And leave a comment and hit the bell notification, the subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. So hit the subscribe button and just press all the buttons down there. That helps us grow the channel. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for being here.
Wait, real
and
quick.
see-
I'll be fast.
What?
Subscribe to the newsletter. You get Armin's book for free. You also get safe for work versions, sexy, blasphemous art. If you
Yes.
want the nude versions, you become a Patreon. It's so super easy. Also,
Yes.
you got Susanna and Armin on the news coming up soon. So make sure you
Yes.
go watch that. It's awesome. They always do such a great job.
Thank you. And also follow Secular Rarity on all his accounts.
That's
Links are all in the description. Yes. Yeah. All right, guys. Bye.